Reading is hugely important to humans. It allows us to discover information, communicate with others, and it's crucial to our ability to understand the world around us. But reading is more than just a tool to be used only until our needs are met. For me, reading is a way to experience the world. I don't think I would be the person I am today if my parents had not taught me to love reading. My parents read to me when I was small, and it's a gift I will never be able to repay. Their small but regular efforts to read with me instilled a love of literature in me that I still carry to this day. However, a recent investigation concluded that fewer than 1 in 3 children read daily for enjoyment. A separate investigation also unveiled that only 2 in 5 8 to 18-year-olds enjoyed reading in their spare time. However, a recent study revealed that less than 1 in 3 children read daily for enjoyment. A separate investigation revealed that just 2 out of 5 8 to 18-year-olds enjoy reading in their spare time. So why is this? Many attribute it to kids being too engrossed in their screens to care about reading, but there are far more reasons than just this. One potential cause is that schools now prioritise high grades and good test scores over actual enjoyment of reading. When the only books kids are reading are tied to exams, is it any wonder that they associate reading with boredom or worries? A third reason might be lack of time. When kids are young, parents might struggle to find time for something as seemingly trivial as reading with their kids. Often, they might not actually find time to read for themselves. This can negatively impact children's reading rates in 2 ways. The first is that when children are not read to by parents when they're younger, it can make it harder for them to develop a love of reading when they're older, as they never were eased into it. They had to kind of find their love of reading later in life. Second way that this can impact kids' reading rates is that children often mirror what they see in those around them. So when the kids see parents not making time to read, it makes them think that there's no point to reading, and so they just don't do it. I spoke with senior librarian at Aberdeen's Central Library, Margaret Hill, about children's reading rates, why children might be reading less, and how we can get more children into it.
There are lots of benefits to reading for everybody. Reading even for a minimum of 10 minutes a day, or at least 10 minutes a day, is really good for everybody's health and well-being and mental agility. For children particularly, the primary benefit, I would say, is the development of language and literacy skills. We learn our words from other people. It's how, if you watch parents with their children in the street and you'll see little children pointing at something saying dog, and the mum or dad will say yes, it's a black dog. That's how they learn vocabulary and words and how they learn about the world around them. So reading with your children is a great way to support the development of vocabulary and their understanding of the world around them. It also helps the child to make the connection between the text on the page and the object, and in extending the vocabulary you can explore all sorts of different ideas and feelings and emotions. And in learning labels for things and feelings, you can learn, that's how a child learns to express themselves. So reading does all of that. The other thing is that it's a really, really good way of developing a very strong bond between a parent or primary carer and a small child. It's just a really nice thing to do, to sit together and share an experience. And looking at pictures, in particularly picture books with very small children, it's how they learn about the world, and it's a nice sharing experience, looking at pictures together and pointing to things and asking questions of each other, and that's just a really nice sharing experience. And a lot of children will have great memories of that as they get older. They won't remember the story necessarily, but they'll remember the feeling of sitting with mum or dad or granny or an older brother or sister, and that's really important to that, developing that strong, what we call secure attachment. That's a really important way of doing that as well. I think there are quite a lot of reasons for that. It's easy to be judgmental about parents who don't, but there are lots of reasons that people don't spend time reading with their children. Primarily, I think it's time. You know, a lot of people get very concerned about, well, I haven't got time to spend reading with my child. Life is very busy, especially if you're a parent of small children. There's just no time at the end of the day, and things can be very hectic and stressful and hassled, and I think people just feel they haven't got time. The other reason, I think, is a lot of parents are very scared of getting it wrong, and that's something that I find quite sad, because there's no wrong way to read a book to a child, or read a book with a child. And we don't often talk about reading books to children, it's reading them with them. I think also there are a lot of parents who have maybe challenges with literacy themselves, or maybe not confident in their own ability to read. But reading with your child's a great way. If you're not great or not very confident reading yourself, it's a great way to just learn with them, with the child. And the other thing is, often there are a lot of people with, say, the language barrier, where English maybe isn't their first language, so they maybe struggle to read some of the stuff the resources that we have. We have resources in 2 languages. We have dual language picture books, so it gives it in the home language and English. And again, that's a great way for people who are a visitor have come to Aberdeen, and it's not English isn't their first language, for them to learn and develop their language skills. I think really it's time, and people shouldn't get hung up about the time it takes, because it's a 5 minutes spent reading with your child at the end of the day, or even first thing in the morning, is a great way to just, especially at the end of the day, it's a great way to wind down, nice thing to do together, and it's really not about the reading the words, it's about spending the time together. The main way to do it is just to actually do it. It is spending time with your child, sharing stories that you enjoy together and that you both like. I think one of the things that will put people off sharing stories with their child is if they feel they have to do it, and if they're reading things that aren't very exciting or very interesting. Having been a parent, I am a parent myself, I have very unhappy memories of some of the reading books that got sent home from school, which were quite tedious, pretty dull. So come to the library and find something else that you will both enjoy. I can hardly remember a time when I didn't read, but I have a very distinct memory of my older sister. We used to each get a comic each week. It was when I got the Twinkle and she got something else, and she would read the Twinkle to me, and then she obviously got fed up doing this. She was quite a bit older than me, so I remember her saying, very distinctly saying, "You need to learn to read yourself, because I can't be bothered reading this for you." And after that, I learned to read. I don't really recall how, but I did. And I then was taken to the library as a child and joined the library and spent probably a significant part of my childhood there.
So now we can see why children might be reading less nowadays, but we can also see how beneficial it can be. While at Central Library, I also spoke to several parents of small children who read with their kids about how it's benefited them as a family.
It's a special bonding time for the both of us, and it's I feel they learn a lot from books in comparison to other methods of learning, and especially when they are at home. Like, she's not in a nursery, so like all our day, in a day we could be reading 20 to 25 books, because it's in the morning, afternoon, and it increases their vocabulary a lot. So that's really what is mainly why we love reading together.
It's a nice bonding experience for me and Charlotte, my little girl, and her dad enjoys reading to her as well. We've been coming to BookBug since she was 3 weeks old. It was her first session, and yeah, she enjoys coming to the library now and picking stories for herself, and then we read them to her. not even at bedtime either. It's like all the time she wants constantly read to, and yeah, it's just a nice bonding experience for all of us, I think.
So my child he doesn't like to speak yet, so he knows the the pictures, and so he knows the words from the books. So he knows like whatever I show him, like anything leaves or whatever, he knows that it's leaves. So that's kind of benefit for him to like reading books.
I work in the library, but haven't worked up in children's for quite a while. So reading with Charlotte, I then get to know the children's books again, and then I can like recommend. If I do come up to work, I can recommend to other folk. But also it just lets me read some classics too as well. I like The Very Hungry Caterpillar, Tiger It Came for Tea, and stuff like that as well. And some books that I remember reading to my nieces and to my younger siblings and stuff like that as well. And yeah, I enjoy reading with her, even if it's just a pointless lift the flat book. She enjoys it. So. I've benefited a lot, to be honest. Like at her age, she's 19 months old, and usually toddlers at her age, they don't speak that much. I don't know. It could be that we got lucky with her, but like I've seen that she repeats every word that I and her dad, like when we read to her, she repeats stuff from her book, and then she relates it to her, like when we're outside or even at home. Like if she sees something and she can relate it to the book, she repeats the words after me. So I feel like that also helped in her speech. So that's actually a really big thing that we have benefited from reading. So we've got a couple which I've brought in. So she enjoys this one called Peekaboo Baby, and like each page there's different things like popping up and then at the end there's a peekaboo you and a mirror at the end of it. So she enjoys that one, and also this one, Little Dog, Where Are You? And each one again there's a mirror. You'll see a recurring theme because she likes to look at herself. She's very vain, and this one, I would say this one is probably her favourite at the moment. We can read it to her about 4 or 5 times a day, and it does have to be hidden from her to so we can move on and do other things.
Yeah, we have quite a few of them favorite books. One called Banana Book. He really enjoyed that one. I got it from here. So yeah, that's the one he likes it.
Honestly, we have a lot by now, but like her absolute favorite is The Wheels on the Bus, because it's like all kids love it, but we have different versions of it, so they're touch and feel books. So she just loves that, and every book is just different kind of things that she identifies every time. So that's her absolute favorite to read.
Hi.
Okay.
Thanks to these parents, we can see that the benefits of reading extend even further than what we'd already discussed. Reading can improve children's development, teach them new words, and bring families closer together. It doesn't have to be for long, and it doesn't have to be Shakespeare. Even the smallest of efforts to read with your child can do more good than you can possibly imagine. So why not give it a try? At worst, you give up 10 minutes to read your child their favourite story, and at best, you help to foster a lifelong love of reading which your child will carry with them forever. To quote Dr. Seuss, the more that you read, the more that you'll know. The more that you'll know, the more places you'll go. Let's see where your child can go. Read with them. It's the best way to find out.